Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Atomic Mass Transmissions Live. I'm Director of Product Development, Will Schick, and today we're going to be painting Luminara Unduli from the upcoming-ish Shatterpoint squad pack. I guess upcoming is not quite accurate because she's not out in the next 2 weeks. She's out in July. So there's definitely some Shatterpoint quickly upcoming, though, because if you don't know, you should. The core set, as well as everything else. Summer's doing like an Arsenio Hall whoop whoop back there. I can just see her. She's going nuts, throwing bones. Be careful that you don't knock over any of those really expensive studio miniatures as you're like going crazy back there. But yeah, Shatterpoint's coming out in a couple short weeks, like a week and a half now. June 2nd, along with all the goodies. And of course, Luminara Unduli will be one of the squad packs coming out in July as the follow-up in Wave 2. With that said, I've got her all prepped. I actually did a lot of the pre-work. We're going to be doing some oils today, so if you've missed the oils that I've done so far, you can watch me muddle through on like my 6th one. It's pretty fun. Let's just go ahead and dive right in. So, really important, I did the pre-glaze on her, which basically means that I slapped a mixture of alizarin crimson, French ultramarine blue, black, and Van Dyke brown. And I mixed all that together to create kind of a dark, warm little bit of red, like you can see the redness in there from the alizarin crimson. Brown pre-glaze, I slapped that over the entirety of the miniature with the exception of her flesh and her undersuit, which really only shows on where her coat opens up on these little wrappings here. Put all that over, let it sit for a while so it would stain. Wiped most of it off with my fancy makeup sponges that Tony got me from the last time. And now we're ready to go. So we're just going to start diving in and start painting away.
Will you turn that light white? Or like a white light instead of that warm light?
Maybe.
Ooh,
how about that?
I think that's probably good to go.
Are we happy?
I think we're happy.
Okay, because I can turn it down and stuff. So
Oh no, it's good.
as Jedi options go, what made the team pick Luminar and her Padawan? Well, I think it just comes back to the fact that they're very cool characters. We do see them quite a bit in the Clone Wars show. And we like to come out with characters that maybe people don't expect. And show those, I wouldn't really call Luminara a deep dive by any mean, but the idea that we're going to be going a little further and deeper into the lore than some other games might be able to, based on the fact that it's a very character-focused skirmish game. Also really gave us a good chance to explore the support side of everything when it came to the game. So one of the really fun things was the fact that you have kind of your core set characters, and most of those core set characters are focused on delivering the understanding of combat, right? So the things that you want out of Shatterpoint. So supporting other units, getting into combat, utilizing those combat trees. I need some thinner, or otherwise this is going to be a struggle. Boop. And Luminara was one where, kind of having seen her in the show and knowing sort of what I imagined her design would be and talking about it with the team and everything, we kind of landed on the fact that she'd be a really great follow-up because she very much fills that like true support role, right? She's the planner, she's the thinker, she's not very rash, she doesn't jump to action. It's really illustrated well in the series arc where her and Anakin and then their Padawans Barriss and Ahsoka are on Geonosis and they're trying to take down the droid factory. And so we just felt like she was going to offer us some really fun chances to delve into more of a what do you expect from a more pure support character? What does a not combat focused character in Shatterpoint look like? And of course, when you have to build up the squad, being able to take a Jedi with their Padawan is always very, very fun. So being able to put Barriss in there, knowing that we were also doing getting the chance through our partnership with Hobby Next to put Hobby Next Ahsoka, or the Padawan Ahsoka, out in a way that players could kind of instantly recreate a bit of that show and those moments together, because now you can take Luminara Unduli and you can take Anakin Skywalker, you can take their Padawans, you can have the clones, and it really leads into the whole idea that Shatterpoint can be whatever you want. It can be, your own recreation, retelling, your own interpretation on Star Wars, the way that you would have liked it to be, or the way that you always imagined what would happen with this or that or the other thing. But at the same time, it also opens up opportunities to explore different things and try out different stuff. So Luminara she was an exciting opportunity for a lot of those reasons, and being able to work on her as a character through the game and what she kind of brought to the table was really enjoyable. And it taught us a lot through the kind of the initial design processes and stuff, what we could and could not get away with when it came to, the overall kind of concepts of the game. So she was very early one of those characters that manipulated the order deck in ways that probably wasn't very healthy. And we figured that out over testing and time and kind of viewing the stuff. And she taught us a lot about what we as a development team and design team could get away with when it came to, you want to do crazy things with the order deck. Okay, well, what does that exactly mean? Like, how does that work? And there were times where she was able to kind of give us that vehicle to look at it really closely and say, that doesn't work. That doesn't work the way we want. This is a problem. We need to dial this back. We can never do this. There were a lot of can never do things that kind of came out of Luminara as well. So from just kind of a put into design standpoint, she was really great for that. Because she gave us those opportunities to kind of figure that stuff out. Yeah, the browns that I'm working with are pretty translucent, so we're going to play with that a little bit and kind of mess around, but you're definitely seeing those brush strokes. We're going to fix some of those brush strokes with our scumbling, which is, if you've watched before, we've done that step several times. Scumbling is really fun. It's one of my favorite parts about the technique, but that's kind of where you dry blend all your paints together. Right now, I'm mostly just sketching out everything with my colors and building my highlights and my shadows and stuff in kind of really sharp blocks. And this is one of the neat things about oils, is that you do all of your work on the miniature itself. So you're really free to kind of explore and try things out, and if it doesn't work, you can just wipe it right off. And, they will mix kind of directly on the mini as well, so you can see how I can kind of pull these colors together and have them blend pretty quickly right on the miniature. But of course, I'm going to have those really gross brush strokes going on, and that's okay, because I can fix that through my scumbling process, or I can go back and blend more of my darker color in and stuff. But ultimately, I'm not going to be able to get rid of these brush strokes smoothly without my scumbling step. And I'm sure that there are other techniques out there for painting with oils that would do that, or at least make the brush strokes a little less noticeable to start. But this is the one that I've been working with and I really like, probably because I find the scumbling portion of it to be just a blast. It is messy. Oils are, they are a little messier, but that's kind of the way in which they work, is that they really give you the freedom and the flexibility to kind of dive in and not be super clean, because you can always like clean them up and work them later. So it's very much a different technique, and one that I found to be very enjoyable. I really like working with them. I very much enjoyed using them on a lot of the Shatterpoint minis that I've painted. And I find that, from a where to start, or where do you kind of want to explore this technique, the scale and the kind of details and everything for Shatterpoint minis, their stylization, it just works really, really nicely with kind of what oils ask you to do. So, and yeah, and she's not going to be dry for several days. So, and you can speed up the drying time by using thinner oils, using more thinner. You can put your oil paints onto cardboard, like a cardboard palette, which will suck up some of the linseed oil, which is what causes them to have such a long drying time. But honestly, the length of time that it takes them to dry is one of the biggest benefits that oils have, because it gives you so much freedom and flexibility to kind of go in and play around and mess with things. And if you don't like what's going on, you can just kind of fix it. So now we're going to go in and I'm going to do a little bit of blending here. I'm just going to use this clean brush. And we're just going to start not really scumbling at this point, but I'm just kind of like mixing my two colors together a bit better, or wet blending really on the miniature. And then once we have that done, I'll probably go in and start to scumble a little bit more, but I've got a lot of colors going on in this cloak, so I just want to kind of pull those together a bit better. And there's every possibility that I'll be like, well, I kind of want to do another layer or something. I'm just going to go from there. So the more I blend, the more I kind of pull that stuff away. I've got like a fuzzy thing here. What is that? Gross. I'll blame Summer. I think she came in and blew hair on my mini. Yeah, I think you came in and you just like poofed a little bit of hair on me. On my poor Luminara hair. I'll have to pull that off. We need a clean room. It's the next thing I'm asking for. Full on clean room. Okay. Well, a clean room would just take care of it itself, you know. We'd have a whole decontamination process and everything. All right, so I'm going to clean off that brush. I'm going to go in with maybe this filbert and pull a little bit of white. Maybe a bit too much, but we'll see. We'll see what this does. I just want to come in and, ooh yeah, there we go. There we go. We're just going to mix. Pull these colors down. Get this highlight color in. This is one of the really cool things about oils, is that you can go really, really high. Higher than you normally would think would be okay, because they'll just kind of mix together on the mini itself. Here, and mix that out, mix that out. How many cats does EMG employ? 0 cats, I think. I do use the same exact primer when doing oil paints. There's nothing special about the primer that you have to use. Although maybe Summer snuck a cat in. Do you have a cat, Summer? There's a lot of fuzzies in here. What were you doing in here before?
There's a bird hanging out in my man's office.
Okay, birds don't have hair though. They have feathers?
You just said fluff, though.
No, I said fuzzies. Fuzzies. Fuzzies would imply hair. Don't okay me like you're trying to placate a young toddler. Like, this is just language. All right, whatever. I get it. I do not have any information on dates to expect for the Legion points update. They are in process. That's all I know. So there's a couple of stages that we have a little control over, but not a ton, where they go through like final approvals and You know, obviously we want to make sure that everything gets, all the T's get dotted and the I's get crossed. That's how that works, right? And so they should be ready when they're ready. Hopefully that will be sooner rather than later, but sometimes that's not always the case. The second that they're ready, though, I have zero doubt that Ann and the team will throw them up online for everybody to devour right away. And there will be a whole lot of discussion. I was going to say, and there'll be much rejoicing, but I don't want to come off all crazy like. There'll be discussion. Some rejoicing, some discussion. Can't make everybody happy all the time. Let's just kind of blend this out. You, brush, are not being helpful to me. I'm going to switch to maybe you. Yep, liking it. All right, I feel like we lost a little bit of our shadows over here, so we're gonna go in and I'm gonna build those back up. Find myself a clean brush here. Soon is our favorite unit of time. That's absolutely true. I mean, you can ask for the answers, but then if you ask and you get an answer, even if you don't like the answer, you still got the answer. So, no one says, as I always say, no one says you have to agree or you have to like it, but you can't say you didn't get what you asked for. That's all we can do. And I can absolutely guarantee you that everybody in this building, but Ann most of all, will move heaven and earth to get that update to you as soon as we possibly can. Well, I realize that it's more fun to imagine that we're twirling our twirly mustaches in our big old tower and cackling away at the pain and suffering that we're causing to the poor masses on the internet. That is just not how it works. We're all very, very focused on trying to make as many people as happy as possible, all at the same time. So, we're on your side. Promise. Scout's honor. No mustache twirling. Though I bet Ann would twirl a damn good mustache.
That's true.
Yeah, if there was a mustache twirling contest, Ann would be number one. Pagani probably has the most twirlable mustache, but he would get really lost in the whole like technicalities and rules focused of the mustache twirling. There'd be no art to it. It would be technically a perfect mustache twirl, but it would lack the nuance, the love, the grace that makes a good mustache twirl so good. Oh, you can't twirl a Monopoly Man mustache. That's different. You're thinking like old-timey villain mustaches. The kind of mustache that if you wound up on that, was it Gulliver's Travels? Who was the guy who wound up on the island of tiny people?
Yeah.
The Gulliver? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so imagine the kind... Yeah, elocutions? Lilliputians. Imagine a mustache that if a Lilliputian found it, they would become the equivalent of a Texan oil baron by mining it for said stuff. That's the kind of mustache that we're talking about here. So now I finally got my kind of like my colors to the point where I feel pretty happy with their transitions. Excuse me. Based on what we were just discussing, we definitely don't leave damsels on the tracks. We leave points updates on the tracks. Point of order. There are no damsels. Not here. Let's clean off this brush really quick. Space railroad tracks. Man, I wish I had a railroad to space. That'd be really sweet. All right. I'm pretty happy with where we're at on this. I'm just going to kind of like scum a little bit of that out. Scum a little of that out. Here. Scumble. Get rid of some of those uglier brush strokes that you can see. Blend out those areas a little bit better. Back over here, scumble that line a little bit. Oh, or instead of scumbling, I'll just come in and like clean it up. Clean it up, clean it up, clean it up. All right. Okie dokie. Let's see. Come over here. This going. Blend that away. Blend that away. Blend that away. Just blend those out just really quick. So get all nice and neat. Some of that color down, pull some of that color down. Color through. Grab a little bit more of our dark. You can see how I kind of like made a little mistake right there. One of the cool things about oils, and you could fix this with acrylics too, you just grab your little blendy brush, your clean brush, and you can pull it out, but the oils, I can just kind of like blend it away. It just goes bye-bye. All right. So I'm pretty happy with that for her cloak. That's looking pretty good. Grab a little bit more thinner here. So if you notice that your oil paint is pulling up the paint below it and you don't quite want that, you just add a little bit more thinner to it, not too much. Because thick will stick on thin, thin will stick on thick. And then we just kind of like mold that together in a way that excites our emotions. There we go. There we go. It's great. Oh, why you're laughing at me over there. There we go. Is that country? I don't know. All right, I'll take it. I'll accept it. I'll accept it. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and grab a little bit of our black, or a ton of our black, as it were. Grab a little bit of our white. And we're going to come in and do... That's like a huge sigh over there.
Sorry, I forgot to breathe.
You really should remember to breathe. That's important. Just come over and get the inside of this little, these wrappings, this jumpsuit. Knock that stuff out really quick. There we go. Grab a bit more white. that color. And that one just really quickly come in. Hit these going on. Ooh, if I was to paint all my Shatterpoint minis in a theme, what theme would I go with? Well, Pagani already stole the whole, like, what if everyone went the Sith route? So he's painting all of his stuff in, like, pure evil, which is pretty cool. I don't know. One of the things, like, that I really like about Star Wars in general, I like the character uniqueness, right? I find the fact that everyone's not the same really exciting on a couple of different levels. I think it looks really cool because you have this collection of individuals, and it's not like an army game, right? Where you need the whole to be cohesive because that's kind of the canvas that you're working on. Like in a Legion, I love figuring out, okay, how do I paint everything to look unique but also the same, because that's what Legion's about. It's about the army. So you want the army as the character, and the individual pieces of the character are kind of like its traits or its defining features. So you come up with your generalized look, and then you go in and you say, okay, this is how, for instance, my stormtroopers will apply. This is how I'll do my scout troopers. This is how I'll define my characters like Vader, or my Imperial officers will all have this. My Death Troopers will have this, and then I'm going to do this really cool like freehanding on my vehicles, you know? And I think that's one of the really fun parts about the hobby for those games is you get to create a cohesive whole that's also very much a character in its own right. Whereas with a game like Shatterpoint, for me, the thing that's so exciting about it is that you get the opportunity to just explore each character as its own canvas. And then it's the uniqueness of the characters that come together and tie the force in a way that makes it look, you know, cool and thematic and neat. So whether that's everything's painted with oils or you use these similar techniques or things like that, that's kind of really for me how I approach these things. I think, you know, doing like the themes of evil, good, what ifs kind of stuff. I did a Anakin Skywalker way back when we were first doing some test painting on the miniatures and the sculpts to see how they felt and if they were kind of hitting that zone that we really wanted in terms of paintability and the features and all that. I did an Anakin Skywalker as a Jedi Temple Guardian. So my what if was, well, what if Anakin Skywalker had kind of gone down the path of being a Jedi Temple Guard? So he was, you know, he's painted in like the Jedi Temple Guardian colors. So a lot of creams and like warm whites and stuff like that. And that was really fun and it was very neat. So he's got the Temple Guardian like yellow lightsaber and all of that stuff. And so it's fun to be able to explore that and then to have it kind of like fit within everything and, you know, have it make sense. But for me, I think I'm just not, you know, it's not the experience of like, how do I tie all these characters together or have them make a cohesive story? I like to approach these games very much like this is just a character and I'm going to do this with the character and then I'm going to do this other thing with the other character. And by pulling all those things together, that's what's going to make, oh, wait, a little brown in there. That's all right. I'll just make this, I'll make the fingies look a little different. That's, you know, when you pull all those together, it's the uniqueness, the stylization of the different characters that come together to make it, what kind of pulls the composition together. And kind of boring that way. But the thing that I like about it is it just lets you explore. Like I can go in and I can paint my Luminara non-traditional if I want. Maybe we want to do her in, you know, black or red Sith robes or something. Maybe we're thinking, oh, you know, she joined the Inquisitorium after the Order 66 and she's now part of the Inquisitorius instead of becoming a evil Jedi trap. So how are we going to approach that? What do we want to do with that? And if I decide to do that, but I decide to keep maybe my Ahsoka Tano Jedi No More or my Darth Vader more traditional, I can still freely mix those two together in my strike team and they'll still fit, you know, because again, the focus is on the character, not on a common theme throughout the force or the strike team. And like I said, that's just my personal kind of approach to it and my own preferences. Absolutely not the only way you can do it, for sure. And we have a bunch of different people in this office that are doing so many different expressions. Like Michael Plummer, the lead designer, he's all about doing the canonical, color matching. So his stuff looks like it's straight out of the animations or the animated series and the movies and all that stuff. We've got Pagani, the development manager, who's absolutely 100% doing the what if everybody was a Sith, because he likes the idea of them all being evil and bad. And then you've got folks like Dallas, who's just doing his own thing. He does whatever the wind takes him to. Whether that's doing this was for a Legion mini, but doing a purple wicket because some crazy individual comes into his chat and starts yelling about purple people eaters. I don't know who that guy was. What a weirdo. And then he does that, and then he comes back and he does a very traditional Vader next and all this stuff, but that's kind of the Shatterpoint experience in a way. You can so quickly and so easily swap back and forth. And the compartmentalization of the squads too kind of allows that as well, right? Like maybe you want to approach one squad like this and another squad like that. And you can absolutely do that. All right, I want to just come in, now that I've cleaned off this brush, kind of blend this yellow in, blend this yellow highlight in. And like here, we're not really doing true Luminara skin because her skin is a lot more desaturated and pale, but I'm just using the colors that I have available, and so we're going for much more of an animated, like not a Clone Wars animated style, but very much a more like Saturday morning cartoon animated style where these skin tones are going to be a lot brighter. And see a lot of that. I'm going to come in and darken up kind of the hands a little bit. Get some of those shadows in there. Pull those colors in. Grab a bit more of our yellow. Come over here. A little bit of our thinner. I'm just going to start picking out these highlights and everything. I have no doubt that at some point we will have those clone commandos on the stream getting painted. I don't know when, but oh, see, Summer does. She doesn't even put them on the schedule for me, so Summer's just holding back info. Summer, I just spent a long time telling everybody how we don't purposely twirl our mustaches and hold information out from people so that we can feel, some kind of fiendish glee, but here you are.
But I get so much enjoyment out of twirling this mustache.
It's true. It's true. You would definitely win most enthusiastic mustache twirl, no doubt. No doubt. No doubt at all. All right. Yeah. Well, thank you, Spike Fire Spew. The X-Wing points, I'm excited to see what folks do with them. They were the result of a lot of different data mining and looking at stuff. And our playtesters need a huge amount of the credit because they spent a lot of time working on those, discussing them, debating them. They really were instrumental to the whole process, as they usually are, but especially in this instance, huge amount of work and dedication from them, as always, has gone into that. So I'm interested to see how it all shakes out over the course of this new season. And as always, I have no doubt that not everything's 100% perfect, but they are imperfectly balanced games. So the point is not to have perfect balance, but instead to have interesting questions and a, good little arc between top tier and low tier that allows for player skill and innovation and randomness and chance and all that stuff to play into it. Games should not be decided purely at turn 0, but turn 0 should absolutely matter. Unless your game's name is Shatterpoint, in which case then turn 0 probably doesn't matter as much. Because Shatterpoint does not care for your plans. Or your preparations, Luminara. The worst product title ever.
Was that intentional?
It might have been. Well, we've announced the name of the box, I have to imagine, right?
No, I just meant the rift there. The plans of preparation.
Yeah. Who named it that? What a fool. Might have been my suggestion.
So yes, correct. What a fool.
100%. I own it. I'm fine with it. Yeah, for those asking about the TIE bombers, they're going into standard with the release of their new 2.0 box, but not in that original document. They're coming in an update. What do I want to do here? I want to grab some of this. I want to grab some of this. I want to grab some of this white. Yeah, that's what we want right there. That color. So I just want to make a little highlight color for my belts here. Gotta make the noises, otherwise it doesn't work. See, I stopped making the noise and immediately I screwed up. He's telling the truth. A little bit more of this. A bit stronger. This right here. Pull that in. There we go. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Magenta. Sure, magenta. Oh, it's true. It's not like naming the Grievous box General Kenobi would have been a stroke of genius, but also a really weird product title since, there's no guarantee they'd be next to each other. And then people would be like, but Kenobi's not in it. So we did not go for the full-on joke. We're cowards. That's how it is. All right, let's see here. That's a little pinker than I want, but I can go back and fix it later. One of the great things about the fact that we're working with oils is when I make that lip just a little too big, I can just go back and fix it. Just grab a little bit of my green. Ooh, not that much of my green. Yeah, the General Grievous, the sculpting team and engineers and everything, they knocked that sculpt out of the park. The mini is gorgeous. Very excited to get the opportunity to paint a Grievous, but it probably won't be on stream because I'm pretty sure Dallas has stolen it from me, but that's okay. He deserves something. He deserves one once in a while, I guess. I can't have everything I want because Summer's mean to me. It's the only reason that I can't have everything that I want. Summer's just cruel. Cruel, cruel Summer. The cruelest. The cruelest. Let's get this little oxide color on our vibrances. Kind of mix that in with the brown that we laid down in our foundation. Might have to go a little darker than that too, but we'll see. I don't know if we announced when Grievous comes out. I think we did, right? Maybe?
1 moment, please.
Oh, 1 moment, please. I don't know. I don't know when things get told. I know he's in July. He's in Wave 2. But I could not tell you the actual date. Let's knock this around. And then, you know what? We'll just do these really quick too. Her little belt buckles, we'll do the same thing. I don't know what's happening over there, but they're really scrolling. Like I can hear the wheel going like nuts.
Found it.
It's like who brought in their hamster to the office? It's just going crazy. All right. Let's grab a little bit of this. A little bit of that. See if we can't come in. Get those eyes dotted out. There we go. She does have that, like, that little lip tattoo thing that comes down her mouth, kind of like that. Let's grab some of this. I will define the eyebrow really quick, which normally I would never do in acrylic, but because I can so easily get rid of it when I screw it up on here, I'm willing to give it a shot. Also, the other nice thing is, like, one of the challenges I always have with eyebrows is they always come off too stark. And because the eyebrow color mixes with the skin color naturally with the oils, you get a much more even and realistic feeling eyebrow. All right, let's go here, and here, and here, and we need to make some kind of a pin wash. And we need to get in to our little vibrances so that we can better define the shadows and the highlights. Ooh, I got a little mixy, but that's okay. Normally you'd give these steps a little bit longer to dry than I'm doing here, but we only have 9 minutes. My goodness. So we'll just kind of go with it. We'll just rock. We'll just roll. We'll just roll. We'll be fine. It'll be fine. We'll come back and mess with that in a little bit. I'm going to grab a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Make a quick highlight color. Just knock out our buckle and stuff. And we'll probably want to come back in and darken that up as well, but that's okay. Do the lightsaber really quick, and then call it good. Call it good. All right, we're just gonna slap on a little bit of gray here, just to define our hilt. And for those who are wondering, normally what I would do is all of my metallics I would do in true metallic. So once this had dried in about a week, I would hit it with some clear coat, and then I would go back in with my acrylics, and I would just paint all the metallic bits or anything that I wanted to be gold or silver or anything like that with normal acrylics. So I really like to mix the mediums I've found at this point. I think that you get really great effects when you use all of the tools at your disposal. And well, I very much like using oils for a lot of stuff. I don't love painting non-metallic metal. I'm not very good at it, and I don't find it very fun. So I haven't really practiced it very much. I've just always painted true metallic metal, and that's what I like to do. So since you can't do that super well with oils, or at least not without a little bit of work on making or acquiring true metallic oils, I just find it easiest to do it with. I find it easiest to do by just using both mediums in a way that works best for me. Also, once it's dry, you can go back in and you can easily do oil washes and pin washes and all that good stuff. You have to make sure that you sealed it so that you don't pull off all your colors, because your oils will react to the thinner if you're not careful. Senate guards. Well, I mean, the beautiful thing about Shatterpoint is that any of that stuff's really possible. So, Senate guards, Saw Gerrera, Japasta New. Nothing's off limits. Different eras, new eras, small eras, tall eras, large eras. Cats and hats, cats with bats, bats with rats. My God, the possibilities are endless. Endless, I say. Let's grab a little bit of this white, titanium white. I just want to get in some center glow here. Give it that nice little lightsaber core. Smooth that out a little bit. Here, smooth that out. And then maybe come in, grab some black, which we're running out of because it's all over here. Oh, look at that. Turn that down a bit. There we go. And then just really quickly darken up our little lightsaber hilt. And then once we have that shadow going on, we can grab some white. And just hit in our little metallic reflections. Cheat out a little bit of non-metallic metal. I understand the theory, I'm just not very good at it. And I don't see it super well, but luckily at that scale, it doesn't really matter. We just need the barest reflection. I'll come back over here, boop. Make a little wash. Get into our corners here. That's great. Corners here. A little bit of shade, and of course a little dot of sparkle. Boop, 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 boop. There. Shoop. Blend up this cheek a little bit. And so this is the thing, like I can go back to things that I've painted at the start of the whole process and I can continue to futz around with them and everything else. But we only have 2 minutes left. So CAD was paired with Aura, yeah, a Shadrafan and Deveronian. That is correct. Per what we showed at Adepticon during the big panel. It's Cad Bane, Aura Singh, and some bounty hunters. And the last thing I want to do is I'm just going to come back to this, and I don't know if my paint is quite ready for it yet, but we're going to try anyway. We're just going to kind of knock in a couple of highlights here on this. We'll come back over to this. This is kind of like one of those areas where honestly, you know what? We have a minute left. Let's try something really quick. I don't know if this will work, but if nothing else, it'll at least start me down the path. So, talked about how if you don't like something with oils, one of the things you can do, very carefully, a little bit of thought, you take one of your makeup sponges. You say, I hate how this turned out. Get out of here. And I can just wipe it off. And maybe as I wipe it off, I go, ooh, that kind of looks like non-metallic metal. And I say, I like that. And I come over here and I carefully wipe. And I don't put a lot of pressure on it. And I just kind of pull that top layer of paint away. And now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I like that. I got a little sloppy over here, but I can fix that. I can just blend that back out. I can just scumble away. And now my little Vambrances can either be repainted or maybe I just like the way that looks and I'm going to leave it there. I don't know. But I've got options. So I can easily take the paint off of anything that I've done and just start reworking it. And if I get too overzealous with one area, I just go back in and re-add the paint. So it's a blessing and a curse because you obviously have to be pretty careful with like not taking off paint where you don't want the paint to come off. But you also can totally take paint off of an area that you don't like I just did there. So I don't like that. I don't like how it worked out. I want it to be different. And so I did. And I can kind of remix my colors over this side here, and maybe I decide that I want to darken this up. So again, the level of control that you really have when it comes to doing this stuff in oils is really phenomenal and really fun. And so you can kind of play back and forth with this stuff and decide where you want to end up with. Well, Hondo had 2 monkey lizards, for those who really want to know based on the conversation in the chat. So there's this first one, and then that one disappears for some reason. I'm not going to say that they ate it, but who knows. And then there's a second one. The first one's red. I think the first one's red. And then the second one, I want to say is yellow. But he has two differently named monkey lizard pets. Okay, and it's 2:02. So with that, I'm going to leave this alone. But I still have all the working time in the world. So this is where we wound up after an hour. Looking pretty good. There's some stuff that I'll go back and touch up. I probably will do another blending pass as my oil starts to kind of like dry a little bit. And we'll kind of rework that area there. But we're off to a very, very good start. In no time at all, we've got some really great kind of shadows and highlights going on. And it's just going to be a refinement from this point. But again, one of the beautiful things about oils is that you can just continue to work with them for several days until they dry. So thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific. Dallas Kemp will be here. He's going to be doing some assembly stuff. So if you're curious, you've never assembled miniatures before, maybe you want a primer, maybe you just want to see how Dallas assembles miniatures, you can show up tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific. He's going to be going through all the tips and tricks to do all of the cool stuff when it comes to assembling hard plastic miniatures. I'll be back again next Tuesday. Next week, I believe, is going to be gameplay stream week. So you can hop on in. Check out all of the cool games that we're going to be playing over the week as we lead up to the celebration and the release of Star Wars Shatterpoint June 2nd. Once again, I've been in the Arsenio Hall from Summer in the booth. So with that, thank you. White Gorilla? You could do that. You could do the roar. All right. Well, with that, thank you so much for joining me. Be good to each other. We'll see you on the next one. Till then, goodbye.